Alright guys, we got the camera adjusted, the barbell adjusted as well. So we're going to discuss the same two lifts, the deadlift standard and the sumo deadlift. This time we're just going to talk about the positioning as far as the profile is concerned. So let me get set. We're going to talk about the standard deadlift first. Again, this is the one with our hips, our feet right underneath our hips. Alright? So I'll walk up to the bar. Okay, from here, take my grip, making sure that I'm organized and ready to pull from the get-go. Okay? And you'll see where my hips are positioned. They're positioned between my knees and my shoulders. Okay? Some people, depending on dimensions, let me back up just a little bit. Depending on dimensions, are going to be a little bit higher, a little bit lower. Again, it's just going to vary as far as the individual goes. One thing I should definitely discuss real quick is the difference between a CrossFit deadlift and a powerlifting deadlift. We're going to detail the powerlifting deadlift because it's kind of one of those eye-opening experiences. If you've been doing CrossFit for a while, it's completely foreign and it almost seems incorrect as far as their technique goes. But you cannot deny the fact that they move some heavy shit with that technique. So if you're into getting the maximal potential, reaching your max potential, we'll discuss that here in the weeks to come, but we're not going to touch on that too much today. Okay? I just want you to realize that there is a difference between our deadlifts that we use in CrossFit and the powerlifting deadlift. Okay? So just be aware of that. Now, let's get back to this thing. Set up, feet right underneath the hips, take my grip, take my deep breath, boom, get set, and right here is where I like to be. Flat body line, shoulders slightly in front of the barbell, and then from there I'm driving through the heels, standing up, back down. Now, the biggest fault that we see is when somebody starts to pull, the ass will lift, and then we pull with the back. Okay? Now, as far as CrossFit is concerned, that's a no bueno lift. We do not like to see that. Okay? What happens there is the hamstring is not firing and keeping the hips down. Hopefully you guys can see me. I've got that lamp right behind me. But anyway, the hamstrings are not keeping the hips down, allowing the quads to initiate the first movement. If you have any questions about that, go back a couple weeks. I did a blog post specifically on the deadlift that you guys definitely need to read on all of this stuff, the setup and the initiation of the pull. So, when you start your pull, focus on pulling your butt down and keeping that position so that you can just press straight up. If you notice, when I start, that body line does not change. There's no change in that angle. See that? What typically happens with a new lifter is it's butt up and then pull. Okay? We don't want to see that. Cool? And it'll just take a little bit of practice, but you guys will get it. Now, with the sumo deadlift, again, this is that wide stance. Toes are turned slightly outwards. Grip is going to be dropped down from the shoulders and slightly inside. And we're still keeping that alternating grip. Okay? From there, driving the knees out, you'll see that my body is much more upright. Okay? This is because of the angles that we've got going on in the lower body that we're able to just keep that torso pulled up. And now we just stand, boom, and extend those hips aggressively. Back down. So again, with the sumo, we're going to be much more upright than in the standard. Neither one is wrong. Neither one is necessarily better or worse than the other. They're both different variations that you guys, let me get this out of light. This is probably not the best. These are both variations that you guys need to implement into your programs. They're different, right? And we know that although we want to keep the programming simple, you have to keep it varied. And this is a great way to vary the deadlift and the response that you get. So we want to make sure, we're always going wide, whether it's a box squat or a sumo deadlift, and we always want to work the movement that we're going to use the most, right? A lot of CrossFitters use the back squat more often than the box squat. So we need to be training that. Same goes for the standard deadlift. If all you do is sumo deadlift and then in competition you have to pull standard, it's going to be a little rough, right? You may be strong as hell, but because you haven't experienced that weight and that standard deadlift and you don't feel super comfortable in the position, you're probably not going to pull very well. So you want to make sure that you vary it up as much as possible and make sure you're getting both styles of both movements. Cool? So again, as I stated before, if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff that we're talking about, make sure you drop a comment down and just leave your question. I love that stuff, guys, and it'll just fuel the fire. We'll get more content flowing, and it's a great way for us to start to create this community. Right now, I feel like I'm talking to a couple of you guys, and I want to know who's out there watching and what you guys want out of this. Cool? So definitely make sure you're dropping comments. Our next one is going to be the shoulder press, so definitely stay tuned for that. All right? Peace, guys. Go lift some heavy shit. All right.